In 1808, America banned the import of enslaved Africans. You were probably taught that was the beginning of the end of slavery. It wasn't. It was the beginning of something darker, an industry so brutal, so profitable, and so deliberately hidden that most Americans have never heard of it. When the international slave trade closed, the market didn't disappear. The demand for enslaved labor exploded. The price of enslaved people skyrocketed, and the slaveholders of Virginia and Maryland saw an opportunity. According to historical documentation and economic records, they realized they could breed enslaved people domestically, creating a perpetual supply of human beings to sell deeper south. This wasn't a side effect of slavery. This was the primary business. Virginia and Maryland became slave-producing states. According to scholar Ned Sublette's research published by the Smithsonian Institution in the American Slave Coast, slaveholders in the Chesapeake responded to these market demands by systematically breeding and selling enslaved people to traders for southern markets. Richmond, Virginia alone exported between 10,000 to 20,000 enslaved people per month across the South. The eastern shore of Maryland operated as a second major hub. Here's what that means. According to primary slave narratives and historical records, enslaved women were deliberately selected, forced into arrangements, and subjected to repeated forced pregnancies. The language they used reveals the horror. Enslaved women were called breeding wenches, breeding stock, and evaluated for their reproductive capacity. One documented exchange describes a slaveholder boasting about 2 women from Maryland. One 22 years old, mother of 7 children, another 19 years old, mother of 4, being sold for $1,200. That was considered a bargain. According to Sublette's economic analysis, enslaved people weren't just laborers. They were collateral. They were currency. In a nation without adequate gold or silver, enslaved children, literally born into bondage, served as human savings accounts. Each newborn had cash value at birth. According to 1860 census estimates, the total value of enslaved people in the South was $4 billion, more than all the gold, silver, and currency in the nation combined. That wealth was built on the systematic exploitation of enslaved women. The mechanism was industrial. According to historical documentation, enslaved men were selected, sometimes rented out, specifically for breeding purposes. Women were paired without consent. Resistance meant severe punishment, often death. Some records describe women being forced into encounters under conditions designed to deny them dignity and agency. This erasure of identity, this reduction of human beings to breeding apparatus, this was deliberate. And the economic impact was staggering. According to the scholarship on the slave breeding industry, profit from forced reproduction far exceeded any other crop Virginia produced. The wealth generated wasn't theoretical. It financed the expansion of America westward. It paid for wars. It built the economic foundation of the nation. Cotton didn't grow itself. Someone had to be enslaved to pick it. And before that, someone had to be born into enslavement specifically to fill that labor demand. By the time of the Civil War, according to historical research, the entire Southern economy depended on this industry. Emancipation wasn't just an economic setback. It completely dissolved the South's financial system because slavery was the system. Enslaved people weren't part of the economy. They were the economy. They were money. This history is deliberately absent from textbooks. You won't find slave breeding farms in most American history classes. Why? Because acknowledging it means admitting that America's foundation, our wealth, our expansion, our power, was built on the systematic exploitation of enslaved women. It means understanding that what happened in Virginia and Maryland wasn't aberration. It was policy. It was business. It was deliberate. But here's what matters now. You know. You have the information. You have the sources. You have the names. Virginia, Maryland, Richmond. You have the numbers. You have the scholars documenting this. According to the Smithsonian Institution and peer-reviewed historical research, this happened. So what do you do with this knowledge? Drop a comment. What part of this changed how you understand American history? And if you're ready to reckon with the truths they buried, if you're ready to understand why reparations aren't charity, they're a debt that's mathematically calculable, built on centuries of documented exploitation. Like this, share this, and follow. Because there are more stories. Stories of resistance, stories of survival, stories of the people who endured and resisted this system. And they're counting on you never learning them.